I'm Miranda Wilson, 34 years old, and I never thought my expertise as a financial consultant would save me from my own husband. Ethan and I had what everyone called the perfect marriage. Until that night I caught him hunched over my purse at 2 in the morning. The familiar click of his phone camera in our dark bedroom made my stomach drop. By morning, $50,000 in charges appeared on my credit card, first-class tickets to Paris, luxury hotels, designer shopping sprees. What he didn't know was going to change everything. Before I continue this story, let me know where you're watching from in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe to follow my journey of how I turned betrayal into triumph. 7 years ago, I walked down the aisle toward Ethan Wilson with stars in my eyes and absolute trust in my heart. We met at a charity gala in downtown Chicago, where I was representing my financial consulting firm. Ethan charmed me with his confident smile and ambitious plans as a marketing executive for a tech company. His tall frame, dark hair, and green eyes that seemed to see right through me made my heart race. We dated for 8 months before he proposed on the Chicago River during a private boat tour. Our wedding was everything I dreamed of: 300 guests at the Langham Hotel, a 5-tier cake, and a honeymoon in Bali. Back then, I believed we were perfectly matched. I brought stability and financial security, while Ethan brought spontaneity and social connections. We complemented each other, or so I thought. I built my career from nothing. Growing up in a middle-class neighborhood in Milwaukee, I worked through college with 2 jobs while maintaining a 4.0 GPA. After graduating, I landed an entry-level position at Preston Financial Advisors and worked my way up to senior consultant over 10 years. My specialty was wealth management and fraud protection for high-net-worth clients. The irony doesn't escape me now. Ethan, on the other hand, came from old money. His parents owned a chain of luxury car dealerships across the Midwest, and he never knew what it meant to struggle. He attended private schools, had his college tuition paid in full, and started his career through his father's connections. This fundamental difference in our backgrounds created an invisible fissure in our marriage that would eventually crack wide open. Our 3-bedroom condo in Lincoln Park showcased this divide. My home office contained neatly organized financial statements and investment portfolios. Meanwhile, Ethan's closet overflowed with designer clothes, many still bearing tags. His collection of watches alone could have paid for a year of mortgage payments. "Why do you need another Rolex?" I asked one day after a package arrived. "It's an investment piece," he countered, admiring the gleaming metal on his wrist. "Besides, I closed that Miller account last week. I deserve to celebrate." These small arguments became more frequent after Ethan was laid off 6 months ago. His company downsized, and despite his parents' connections, he couldn't immediately secure another position at the same level. His unemployment became a wound to his ego that festered with each passing week. "I'm networking," he would say whenever I asked about his job search. "These things take time if you want to find the right fit." Meanwhile, he continued spending as if nothing had changed. Dinner at A Linea with his friends, weekend trips to New York, a new set of golf clubs. My sister Allison saw through him from the beginning. During one of our weekly lunch dates at Pequod's Pizza, she voiced her concerns. "He spends your money like water, Miranda," she said, her blue eyes serious as she pushed her blonde hair behind her ear. "It reminds me of what Dad did to Mom." She wasn't wrong to make the comparison. Our father's financial infidelity destroyed our parents' 30-year marriage. He secretly gambled away their retirement savings, second mortgaged their house without my mother's knowledge, and left her with nothing but debt when he finally abandoned the family for a younger woman in Florida. "Ethan isn't Dad," I defended, though uncertainty crept into my voice. "We're just going through a rough patch while he finds a new position." Allison reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "Just be careful, sis. Financial betrayal can be just as devastating as the physical kind." The final straw came when we argued about summer vacation plans. I suggested a road trip to Michigan's Upper Peninsula to save money while Ethan was between jobs. "A road trip," he scoffed, scrolling through his phone. "Look at this villa in Santorini. Blake and Megan went last year and said it was life-changing." I closed my laptop and faced him squarely. Ethan, we need to be more careful with our spending until you find work. You mean until I contribute again, he said, his voice hardening. Because clearly your money is just yours, not ours. That's not what I meant. But $15,000 for a week in Greece isn't responsible right now. What's the point of making six figures if we can't enjoy it? He countered, walking away before I could respond. That night, he slept in the guest room. The next morning, he acted as if nothing happened, kissing me on the cheek before heading out for what he called a networking breakfast. Little did I know, he was already planning his European getaway at my expense. I've always been a light sleeper. The smallest noises wake me, a dripping faucet, a car alarm in the distance, or in this case, the subtle creak of our bedroom door opening at 2:13 in the morning. I kept my eyes closed, thinking Ethan was returning from one of his midnight snack raids. Instead of feeling his weight settle on the mattress beside me, I heard the soft padding of his footsteps moving toward my side of the room. Through barely opened eyes, I saw his silhouette hunched over the armchair where I'd draped my blazer with my purse sitting on top. The faint blue glow of his phone illuminated his features as he carefully opened my wallet. I felt my heart hammer against my ribs as I watched him remove my credit cards one by one, photographing both sides of each. My Platinum American Express, my Chase Sapphire Reserve, my Bank of America Visa, even my corporate card from work. Click, click, click. Each sound felt like a physical blow. My mouth went dry. My palms started sweating. I wanted to sit up, to scream at him, to demand an explanation, but something kept me frozen, pretending to sleep. The rational part of my brain told me there must be some explanation. Maybe he needed my card numbers for a surprise gift? But at 2 in the morning? And why all of them? The truth was staring me in the face. But accepting it meant acknowledging that my marriage was built on quicksand. After what seemed like hours, but was probably only minutes, Ethan carefully replaced everything exactly as he found it and slipped back to his side of the bed. I felt the mattress shift as he settled in, his breathing eventually slowing into the rhythm of sleep while I remained wide awake, my mind racing through possibilities, none of them good. I didn't confront him immediately. The financial investigator in me took over, wanting to gather evidence before making accusations. When morning came, I watched him through new eyes as he performed his usual routine, checking his phone before kissing me goodbye. Early meeting with a potential employer, he explained, adjusting his tie in the mirror. Don't wait up if I'm late. Might grab drinks with the team after. His lie hung in the air between us. I nodded and forced a smile, feeling sick to my stomach as I watched him leave. The moment the front door closed, I grabbed my phone and opened my banking apps. The notifications hit me like physical blows. American Express. Thank you for your purchase of $7,300 at Louis Vuitton Paris. Chase. Your recent transaction of $12,400 at Le Royal Monceau Hotel has been approved. Bank of America. Transaction alert. $8,900 at Air France. The charges totaled over $50,000, all in Paris, all within the last 12 hours. Designer clothes, first-class plane tickets, 5-star hotel reservations. My hands shook so badly I dropped the phone onto our plush carpet. I ran to the bathroom and vomited, the betrayal hitting me in physical waves. This wasn't a misunderstanding or a surprise gone wrong. This was calculated theft. From his own wife. The bathroom floor felt cool against my skin as I sat there, trying to breathe through the panic. I'd advised countless clients on financial infidelity, guided them through the steps to protect themselves, yet here I was, a victim of the very crime I helped others recover from. My phone rang, the fraud department from American Express. Ms. Wilson, we've detected unusual activity on your account. Several large purchases in Paris. Can you verify if these charges are authorized? I hesitated only a moment. No, they're not authorized. I see. And do you still have physical possession of your card? Yes. My voice sounded hollow, even to my own ears. Based on the pattern, this appears to be a case where someone has obtained your card details rather than the physical card. We'll begin our investigation immediately and issue you a new card. I went through the same process with Chase and Bank of America. Each representative was professional and sympathetic, assuring me I wouldn't be responsible for the fraudulent charges. None of them asked the question I couldn't bear to answer. Do you know who did this? After the calls, I sat at our kitchen island staring at nothing. The morning sun streaming through windows that suddenly felt like they belonged to someone else's life. My phone kept lighting up with transaction alerts as Ethan continued his Parisian shopping spree. Montblanc, $5,000. Chanel, $9,200. Michelin-starred restaurant, $1,800. The total kept climbing. With each notification, my shock hardened into something colder and more resolved. This wasn't just about money. This was about betrayal of the deepest kind. The man I trusted most in the world had stolen from me while I slept beside him. I called the office and told them I needed a personal day, something I'd never done in my 10 years with the company. Then I walked to our shared closet to confirm what I already suspected. His expensive luggage was missing, along with several suits and shoes. My husband had fled to Europe with my stolen credit card information, leaving nothing behind but the wreckage of what I thought was a marriage. The house felt eerily quiet as I sat at my computer. Financial documents spread around me like the aftermath of a paper explosion. Years of training kicked in, and I methodically began tracking Ethan's digital footprint. First, I checked our shared accounts, confirming my suspicion that he'd been moving small amounts of money for months, testing whether I'd notice. I called our bank but stopped short of reporting Ethan by name. I need to put a freeze on our joint accounts, I said instead. The representative didn't ask questions, just verified my identity and processed the request. Within minutes, I received confirmation that the accounts were locked. Ethan wouldn't be able to access any more of our shared funds. But I needed to know more. How long had he been planning this? Was this impulsive or calculated? I logged into our desktop computer and checked the browser history. Ethan wasn't particularly tech-savvy and rarely cleared his tracks. Sure enough, I found searches for best luxury hotels in Paris, how to copy credit card details, and untraceable cash transfers. My stomach knotted as I realized this betrayal had been weeks in the making. Not a momentary lapse in judgment, but a deliberate campaign of deception. I tried accessing his email, but he'd changed the password. However, he'd forgotten about an old Gmail account he used for subscriptions and junk mail. The password was still our anniversary date followed by his mother's maiden name, Spencer. I logged in and found what I was looking for, confirmation emails for flights, hotels, and dinner reservations. His entire European itinerary laid out in meticulous detail. Paris for 3 days at Le Royal Monceau. Milan for 2 days at the Bulgari Hotel. Monaco for the weekend at Hotel Hermitage Monte Carlo. He'd even booked a private yacht tour along the French Riviera. All using my stolen credit card information. I printed everything, creating a paper trail of evidence, then moved to our bedroom. The walk-in closet we shared still smelled faintly of his cologne. I pushed past his remaining clothes to the storage section at the back. There, behind winter coats and old suits, I found a half-packed suitcase containing new clothes with European tags. He'd been shipping items to our home, hiding them here, planning his escape for longer than I'd realized. My phone buzzed with a text from Ethan. Meeting went great. Dinner with potential employers tonight. Don't wait up. Another lie. According to his itinerary, he was currently checking into his Paris hotel. I couldn't hold back any longer. I called him, not expecting him to answer. To my surprise, he picked up on the third ring. Hey, babe, he said casually, ambient noise in the background suggesting a busy street or lobby. Where are you? My voice came out steadier than I felt. A slight pause. I told you, networking dinner. In Paris? At Le Royal Monceau. The line went silent for several seconds. When he spoke again, his voice had hardened. You've been spying on me? You stole my credit card information and charged $50,000 for a European vacation. Don't you dare turn this around on me. He sighed dramatically, as if I were the unreasonable one. I didn't steal anything. What's yours is mine, right? Isn't that what marriage means? Not when you take it in secret. Not when you lie to my face. You never would have agreed if I'd asked, he said, his tone suddenly defensive. You're always so controlling with money. I've been stuck in that soulless apartment for months while you get to leave every day for your precious job. You were laid off, Ethan. That's not my fault. And I've been supporting us completely since then. Supporting us or holding it over my head? His voice rose. Do you know how humiliating it is to ask your wife for spending money like a child? To have to justify every purchase? You've never respected my contributions to this marriage. What contributions? The words exploded out of me. Your networking lunches that go nowhere? Your golf games with your father's friends? Meanwhile, I work 60-hour weeks to keep us afloat while you steal from me. I deserve this trip, he said coldly. After putting up with your constant criticism and financial controlling, I deserve some freedom. Freedom? I laughed bitterly. What you've done is credit card fraud. It's a crime, Ethan. You wouldn't dare report your own husband to the police. His confidence infuriated me. Come home now, return everything you bought, and we might have something to salvage. Not going to happen, he replied. I've earned this break from you and your middle-class mentality. Maybe when I return, you'll appreciate me more. There won't be anything to return to. I warned. We'll see. He hung up. I stood there, phone in hand, trembling with rage and hurt. This was the man I'd loved, trusted, built a life with. Now he was essentially telling me that stealing from me was justified because I'd had the audacity to expect financial responsibility. I called my best friend Jessica immediately. Can you come over? It's an emergency. 20 minutes later, Jessica arrived with a bottle of wine and takeout from our favorite Thai restaurant. Her auburn hair was pulled into a messy bun, and she wore yoga pants and a sweatshirt, having clearly dropped everything to come to my aid. What happened? She asked, taking in my tear-stained face. I told her everything. From catching Ethan photographing my cards to our confrontational phone call. She listened without interrupting, her expression shifting from shock to outrage. That manipulative bastard. She said when I finished. You need to call the police. I can't. Not yet. I ran my hands through my hair. We need a plan. Jessica poured us each a glass of wine. Then, let's make one. As we talked into the night, something shifted inside me. The devastation began to harden into resolve. Ethan thought he'd beaten me at my own game. But he had no idea who he was really dealing with. I wasn't just going to survive this betrayal. I was going to make sure he never forgot the consequences of his actions. The morning after my devastating discovery, I woke with puffy eyes but a clearer mind. Jessica had stayed over, sleeping on the couch after helping me strategize until 3 in the morning. I made us both strong coffee and opened my laptop with renewed purpose. What's first on the agenda? Jessica asked, wrapping her hands around her mug. Legal counsel, I replied. Already dialing Barbara Thornton, a family lawyer recommended by a colleague who'd gone through a difficult divorce last year. Barbara agreed to see me that afternoon. Her office in the Loop exuded calm professionalism, with muted colors and tasteful artwork. She listened intently as I laid out the situation, occasionally jotting notes on a yellow legal pad. Before we discussed divorce proceedings, she said after I finished, I want to be clear about the credit card fraud. Have you reported this to the police? I shifted uncomfortably. Not yet. Part of me still can't believe he'd do this. She nodded sympathetically. That's understandable. But I should mention that how you handle the financial aspect could impact divorce settlements later. Which cards did he compromise? That's when the realization hit me. I pulled out my wallet and examined the platinum card whose details Ethan had stolen. The card looked nearly identical to my primary American Express, but this one had a small, almost imperceptible mark in the corner, a tiny dot that distinguished it from my regular card. This isn't my main credit card, I said slowly, a memory surfacing. This is the decoy account. Barbara raised an eyebrow. Decoy account? 6 months earlier. After noticing small discrepancies in our finances, I'd taken a precautionary measure. Working with my company's security team, I'd set up a special credit card as part of our new client protection program. On the surface, it functioned like a normal high-limit credit card, but behind the scenes, it had special protocols in place. Any transaction over $1,000 triggered an automatic review. The card had advanced tracking capabilities, recording IP addresses and timestamps for online purchases. Most importantly, it was designed to collect evidence of fraudulent usage in a format admissible in court. I'd placed it in my wallet, partly as a test case for our clients and partly due to my growing suspicions about Ethan's financial behavior. Then, amid the chaos of work and life, I'd almost forgotten about it. So the card he's been using is essentially gathering evidence against him automatically? Barbara asked, a smile spreading across her face. Yes, I confirmed, feeling a strange mix of relief and vindication. Every purchase he makes is being documented by our security team as a case study in fraud detection. That changes things considerably, Barbara said, leaning forward. Your husband has unwittingly turned himself into a test case for financial fraud. I called Rachel Thompson, my boss at Preston Financial, as soon as I left Barbara's office. Miranda, Rachel exclaimed when she heard my voice. I was just about to call you. The security team is going crazy over the activity on your test card. It's providing invaluable data for the new protection algorithms. I explained the situation, leaving out the personal details about my marriage. I need to let this play out a bit longer. Can you ensure all the evidence is being properly documented? Absolutely, Rachel assured me. This is actually the perfect stress test for our new system. The purchasing pattern is exactly what we look for in cases of identity theft, rapid, high-dollar transactions in foreign countries. The system has already flagged everything and created a complete digital trail. With the credit card company documenting Ethan's every move, I turned my attention to monitoring his social media. He'd always been active online and, true to form, he couldn't resist flaunting his luxury vacation. His Instagram story showed him lounging by a rooftop pool overlooking the Eiffel Tower, captioned, "Living my best life." Another post featured his room service breakfast with champagne. He shared photos of shopping bags from Gucci, Louis Vuitton, and Dior, followed by a selfie wearing a new watch that probably cost more than most people's monthly salary. Each post strengthened my case while revealing the extent of his betrayal. He wasn't just stealing my money, he was publicly celebrating it. I methodically took screenshots of everything, adding them to my growing file of evidence. Then I set up alerts for any new posts or activity on his accounts. Meanwhile, I consulted with Preston Financial's internal team about the best approach. Alexander Parker, our head of security, suggested letting Ethan continue his spending spree. Every transaction strengthens the case against him, Alexander explained. And with the protective measures on that card, you're not actually liable for any of the charges. Plus, Rachel added, this is providing our team with real-world data that's invaluable for developing our client protection services. For the next several days, I lived in a strange limbo. On the outside, I maintained my normal routine, going to work, coming home, even texting Ethan occasionally with mundane updates to maintain the illusion that I was oblivious to his European adventure. Inside, I was methodically building my case, preparing for the moment when he would return home thinking he'd gotten away with it. Ethan continued his tour through Europe's most expensive destinations. Milan brought purchases from Prada and dinner at a 3-Michelin-star restaurant. In Monaco, he gambled at the famous casino and posted videos from his yacht excursion along the coast. Each day, the security team sent me updates on his transactions, all neatly cataloged and time-stamped. Barbara prepared the divorce papers, having everything ready for when I decided to make my move. Jessica helped me pack up Ethan's personal items, storing them in the guest room. Are you scared about confronting him? Jessica asked as we boxed up his collection of signed sports memorabilia. I considered the question carefully. Not scared exactly. I feel ready. For the first time since this happened, I feel like I have control over the situation. He has no idea what's coming, Jessica said, sealing a box with packing tape. You're not just 10 steps ahead of him, you're playing an entirely different game. She was right. while Ethan was playing checkers. I was playing chess. He thought he'd outsmarted me by stealing my credit card information, but instead, he'd walked directly into a trap I didn't even realize I'd set. The decoy card, originally implemented as a security test, had become my unexpected salvation. As the week progressed, I felt my confidence growing. The betrayal still hurt, but it was overshadowed by a sense of empowerment. I wasn't a victim in this story. I was about to become the author of its ending. 7 days after Ethan's unauthorized European tour began, I received a text message, landing at O'Hare at 4:30. See you at home for dinner. No apology. No acknowledgement of his deception. Just a casual message as if he'd been on a normal business trip. I texted back a simple, okay, and began preparing for his return. I left work early, stopping to pick up his favorite takeout from Gibson's Steakhouse, a $48 porterhouse with truffle mashed potatoes. A last meal of sorts. At home, I changed into the black dress he'd always said was his favorite, applied makeup, and styled my hair. Not for his benefit, but for mine. I wanted to feel powerful for what was coming. The security system alerted me when the front door opened at 6:15. I heard him struggling with multiple bags, the distinct sound of designer shopping bags rustling as he made his way into our open-concept living area. Miranda, he called out, dropping his luggage in the entryway. In the kitchen, I replied, keeping my voice neutral as I arranged the takeout on plates. He sauntered in, tanned and well-rested, wearing a new designer suit I'd never seen before. His confidence was palpable as he approached, planting a kiss on my cheek as if nothing was amiss. You look nice, he said, eyeing the steak dinner. What's the occasion? Your return, of course. I smiled, pouring him a glass of his favorite Cabernet Sauvignon. How was your trip? A flash of confusion crossed his face, quickly replaced by his practiced charm. The meetings went well. Really promising leads. I met your trip to Paris, Milan, and Monaco, I clarified, maintaining my smile. He froze momentarily, then forced a laugh. What are you talking about? Please, Ethan. Let's not insult each other's intelligence. I gestured to his new suit and the shopping bags by the door. Louis Vuitton, Gucci, Montblanc. You've been busy. He set down his wine glass, his expression calculating. I can explain. I'm sure you can. You've always been good at explanations. It's not what you think, he started, running a hand through his expertly styled hair. I was going to surprise you. These are gifts for you too. Gifts purchased with my stolen credit card information? He dropped the pretense, his face hardening. You needed to loosen up about money. You're so uptight about every dollar and cent, always saving for some imaginary rainy day instead of enjoying life. So you committed fraud against your own wife? That was your solution. He shrugged, his arrogance stunning me even after everything. I knew you'd never agree to the trip. Sometimes it's easier to ask forgiveness than permission. And the clothes? The watch? The yacht tour? Those were for me too. I kept my voice even, though inside I was seething. I deserve nice things, Miranda. His tone turned defensive. Do you know how hard it's been living in your shadow? Listening to you on calls with your wealthy clients while I'm stuck at home sending resumes into the void? I needed this break. With my money. Without my knowledge. Our money. He corrected smugly. What's yours is mine, remember? Those vows you took so seriously. He walked over to the shopping bags and pulled out an expensive-looking blue box, placing it on the counter between us. I even bought you something. See? I was thinking of you. The box contained a diamond bracelet that must have cost thousands. The gesture might have seemed generous to an outsider, but I recognized it for what it was, a calculated move to manipulate me into forgiveness. What do you think? He asked, his smile returning. Now we can both enjoy the fruits of your success. I fingered the bracelet, then set it aside. And the $50,000 in charges? That's just the cost of our marital happiness? Don't be dramatic. You make that in what, a month? Besides, he added with a smirk, leaning against the counter, the cards are in your name. You're the financial expert. Just call it fraud. Get the charges reversed, and we both win. No harm done. No harm, I repeated incredulously. You stole from me, lied to me, abandoned me. And now you're suggesting I commit insurance fraud to cover your theft. When you put it that way, it sounds so ugly. He picked up his wine again, taking a casual sip. I prefer to think of it as taking an overdue vacation that you paid for. Thanks for the upgrade, by the way. First class is the only way to fly to Europe. His mocking smile as he raised his glass in a mock toast was the final straw. But instead of the angry outburst he clearly expected, I burst out laughing. Ethan's smile faltered. What's so funny? The card you stole, I managed between laughs. It wasn't just any credit card. His brow furrowed. What are you talking about? That platinum Amex you've been enjoying so much? It's a fraud protection test account for my company's new security system. All color drained from his face. What? Every transaction you made has been flagged, recorded, and reported. The bank's security team has been tracking every purchase, every location, every penny you've spent. I pulled out my phone and showed him the security dashboard with all his transactions neatly cataloged. They're using you as a case study in our fraud detection program. You set me up? His voice rose in disbelief. No, Ethan. You set yourself up. I created that account 6 months ago after noticing money disappearing from our joint savings. I suspected you might be taking small amounts, but I never imagined you'd go this far. You've been spying on me? The hypocrisy was staggering. I've been protecting myself, I corrected. And it's a good thing I did. I walked to my briefcase and removed the folder Barbara had prepared. This contains divorce papers citing financial infidelity and fraud. It also includes a complete record of all your unauthorized transactions, time-stamped and verified by the credit card company's security team. You can't be serious. Panic began to replace his arrogance. Miranda, we can work this out. There's nothing to work out. You stole from me. You betrayed my trust in the most fundamental way possible. And you're not even sorry, you're proud of it. I pushed the folder toward him. I've already moved your things to the guest room. You can stay there tonight. But I expect you to find other accommodations tomorrow. This is my home too, he protested. The condo is in my name, I reminded him. You insisted we keep it that way for tax purposes, remember? I'll fight this, he threatened, though his voice lacked conviction. I'll tell everyone you trapped me, that you set me up. Feel free. I'm sure the police will be very interested in your side of the story when they review the evidence of credit card fraud. I maintained steady eye contact. $50,000 puts this firmly in felony territory, Ethan. You wouldn't press charges against your own husband. The same confidence he'd shown on the phone from Paris, now significantly diminished. Ex-husband, I corrected. And yes, I would. But I'm willing to be reasonable. Sign the divorce papers, agree to repay what you stole. And I won't pursue criminal charges. He stared at the folder, then at me, seemingly unable to comprehend how completely the tables had turned. I need to call my father. Go ahead. I've already spoken with your parents. His head snapped up. You what? I called them yesterday, explained the situation, and sent them copies of your Instagram posts along with the transaction records. Your father's exact words were, he's on his own this time. That was the moment Ethan truly understood the magnitude of his situation. His parents, who had bailed him out of every previous consequence, had finally reached their limit. His shoulders slumped as the reality sank in. What do you want from me? He asked, defeat evident in his voice. I want you to sign these papers, pack your things, and leave. The agreement includes a repayment plan for the money you stole. It's generous, probably more generous than you deserve. He leafed through the document, his expression growing increasingly grim. You've thought of everything. That's what you never understood about me, Ethan. I've spent my entire career helping people protect their finances. Did you really think I wouldn't protect my own? The morning after our confrontation, I awoke to find the divorce papers signed on the kitchen counter. Ethan had taken only a small suitcase of belongings, leaving behind all the luxury items he'd purchased in Europe. A handwritten note sat beside the documents. I'm staying at the Marriott downtown. We should talk when you've calmed down. Even now, he couldn't accept the finality of what had happened. In his mind, this was just another rough patch we would eventually move past. He still didn't understand that some betrayals can't be undone. I texted Barbara that the papers were signed and ready for filing. Within hours, she confirmed that the divorce proceedings were officially underway. It would take months to finalize. But the first step had been taken. My next call was to Kenneth Reynolds, the fraud investigator at American Express who had been monitoring Ethan's spending spree. Ms. Wilson, we've completed our initial investigation, Kenneth informed me. Based on the evidence, we've reversed all charges to your account and placed Mr. Wilson on our financial watch list. This will be reported to other credit agencies as well. What exactly does that mean for him? I asked. It means he'll be flagged in the system. Any applications for credit cards, loans, or mortgages will undergo extra scrutiny. Given the amount involved, this will remain on his record for at least 7 years. 7 years. The biblical period for atonement seemed fitting somehow. There's also the matter of potential criminal charges, Kenneth continued. As the cardholder, you have the right to press charges for identity theft and fraud. The police would need your statement to proceed. I hesitated. The vindictive part of me wanted Ethan to face the full consequences of his actions. But another part recognized that a criminal record would destroy any chance he had of rebuilding his life. I'll think about it, I told Kenneth. For now, I'd like to proceed with the civil remedies outlined in our divorce agreement. Understood. We'll keep the case open pending your decision. After hanging up, I called a locksmith to change all the locks and security codes for our condo. By afternoon, the apartment was secured against Ethan's return. Jessica came over that evening with Chinese takeout and moral support. How are you holding up? She asked, distributing containers of kung pao chicken and vegetable lo mein on the coffee table. Better than expected, I admitted. There's something empowering about taking control of the situation. Have you heard from him since he left? I nodded, scrolling through my phone to show her the 12 missed calls and 23 text messages I'd received throughout the day. Each one progressed from apologetic to angry to pleading as Ethan cycled through different strategies to regain control. He still thinks this is a negotiation, I said, putting the phone away without responding to any of his messages. He doesn't understand that some things can't be fixed with charm and empty promises. What about his parents? Has he gone crying to Daddy yet? Apparently yes. His mother called me this afternoon. I stabbed at my food with chopsticks. Catherine was actually surprisingly supportive of me. She said she and Gregory had enabled Ethan's behavior for too long and that maybe this would finally be the wake-up call he needed. Wow, that's unexpected. I think they're tired of cleaning up his messes. This was just the final straw. 2 days later, 2 police officers appeared at my door. Officer Ramirez and Officer Jenkins explained that Ethan had reported the credit card situation as a misunderstanding and claimed I was vindicatively keeping him from his home and possessions. He says you set him up, Officer Ramirez explained, maintaining a neutral tone. That you planted a credit card as some kind of test. I invited them in and presented the complete file I'd prepared. The security footage from our bedroom showing Ethan photographing my cards, the transaction records, his social media posts flaunting his purchases, and the signed divorce papers acknowledging his actions. The card in question is a security test account from my employer, I explained. But Mr. Wilson wasn't aware of that when he took the information without my consent and proceeded to charge $50,000 for personal use. The officers reviewed the evidence, exchanging glances. This is pretty comprehensive, Officer Jenkins noted. Would you like to press charges for identity theft and credit card fraud? Again, I found myself at the crossroads of justice and mercy. Not at this time. The civil agreement requires him to repay everything. If he violates that agreement, I'll reconsider criminal charges. After the officers left, my phone rang. Ethan. You called the police on me, he demanded when I answered. No, you called the police on yourself, I corrected. They came here because you filed a false report claiming I set you up. This has gone far enough, Miranda. I made a mistake. People make mistakes. This wasn't a mistake, Ethan. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary or saying something hurtful in the heat of an argument. What you did was calculated theft and betrayal. I'm your husband. Not for much longer. I reminded him. The divorce should be final in 3 months. Until then, communicate through Barbara if you need anything. So that's it? 7 years of marriage thrown away over one bad decision. One bad decision? I repeated incredulously. You stole my identity, took $50,000, fled to Europe, and then had the audacity to mock me about it when you returned. Which part of that was just one bad decision? He fell silent, then switched tactics. I'll go to counseling. We can work through this. It's too late for that, Ethan. The trust is gone. And without trust, there's nothing to rebuild. As the weeks passed, Ethan made increasingly desperate attempts to contact me. He sent flowers to my office. He cornered Jessica outside her apartment, begging her to intervene on his behalf. He even enlisted mutual friends to plead his case, telling them a sanitized version of events that cast him as the misunderstood victim of my financial control issues. I maintained my boundaries, allowing communication only through our lawyers. Meanwhile, Barbara discovered more of Ethan's financial deceptions during the divorce proceedings. He had a secret credit card with $23,000 in debt. He'd borrowed $12,000 from our joint savings account last year without telling me. He'd been lying about his job search, spending days at expensive golf courses instead of interviews. Each new revelation confirmed I was making the right decision. The man I thought I married had never really existed. Through it all, I found strength I didn't know I possessed. I threw myself into work, using my experience to enhance Preston Financial's fraud protection services. Rachel even suggested developing a specialized program for married couples, focusing on financial transparency and security. You've turned a personal tragedy into something that could help countless others, she told me during our weekly meeting. That takes remarkable resilience. I didn't feel remarkable. Most days, I just felt like I was putting one foot in front of the other. But slowly, the pain began to recede, replaced by a growing sense of possibility. For the first time in years, my future belonged entirely to me. 6 months after discovering Ethan's betrayal, I stood in the middle of my redecorated condo, admiring the transformation. Gone were the masculine leather furnishings Ethan had insisted on. In their place stood a modern sectional in soft gray, abstract artwork in blues and teals, and plants that brought life to every corner. The space finally felt like mine. My phone buzzed with a text from Barbara. Judge signed final divorce decree today. It's official. Congratulations. A wave of emotions washed over me, relief, sadness, and ultimately, peace. The settlement had proceeded exactly as outlined in our agreement. Ethan was responsible for repaying all fraudulent charges and would make monthly payments directly to me for the next 3 years. His first payment had arrived on time last month, accompanied by a letter of apology I chose not to read. I celebrated that evening with a small dinner party. Jessica, Allison, and my new friend Samantha gathered around my dining table, toasting with champagne. To freedom, Jessica proposed, raising her glass. To new beginnings, Allison added. To financial independence, Samantha said with a knowing smile. I'd met Samantha at a support group for survivors of financial abuse 2 months earlier. After sharing my story at a meeting, she approached me, recognizing elements of her own experience in mine. Though her ex-husband's methods differed from Ethan's, the underlying betrayal was the same. We'd formed an immediate bond, meeting weekly for coffee and gradually developing a friendship based on mutual understanding and respect. I have news, I announced once we'd finished dinner. Preston Financial has approved my proposal for a new department focusing specifically on protection against intimate partner financial fraud. That's amazing, Allison exclaimed, squeezing my hand across the table. You'll be helping so many people. It's called the Financial Empowerment Initiative, I explained. We'll be offering workshops, one-on-one counseling, and specialized security products designed to protect vulnerable individuals within relationships. Will you be leading it? Jessica asked. Yes. Rachel offered me the position of department director. It comes with a promotion and a corner office. I couldn't help smiling at the validation. The first workshop is scheduled for next month at the downtown library. It's free and open to the public. I'll be there, Samantha promised. and I'll bring others from the support group. Later that night, after my friends had left, I stood on my balcony looking out at the Chicago skyline. The city lights sparkled against the darkness, reminding me of the diamond bracelet Ethan had bought with my stolen money, beautiful but cold, lacking any true value. I donated that bracelet and all the other items he'd purchased to a charity auction benefiting a women's shelter. It felt right to transform his selfish acts into something that could help others rebuilding their lives. The next morning, I opened my laptop to find an email from Ethan. Against my better judgment, I clicked it open. Miranda, I've been in therapy for 4 months now. I'm beginning to understand the damage I've caused. I know words are meaningless after what I did, but I want you to know I truly am sorry. If you ever feel ready to talk, I'd like the chance to apologize properly. Ethan. I considered responding, then closed the email without reply. Perhaps someday I'd be ready to hear his apology, but that day wasn't today. My focus needed to remain on moving forward, not looking back. That weekend, I finalized plans for a solo trip to Italy, not France, where Ethan had gone, but the Amalfi Coast, a place I'd always wanted to visit. The trip represented another step in reclaiming my life and redefining myself outside the context of my failed marriage. The betrayal had changed me, but not in the ways Ethan might have expected. Instead of becoming more guarded or cynical, I found myself more open to authentic connections. My relationship with Allison had deepened as she supported me through the divorce. My friendship circle had expanded to include women like Samantha who understood the journey I'd been on. Even my approach to money had evolved. While I maintained my careful financial planning, I'd also learned to invest in experiences that brought genuine joy. The Italy trip wasn't just a vacation, it was an affirmation that I deserved pleasure and adventure in my life. On the day before my departure, I paid cash for coffee at my favorite cafe instead of using my credit card. The simple act felt meaningful somehow, a small demonstration of how I'd regained control over my financial life. Keep the change, I told the barista, dropping the extra dollars in the tip jar. As I sat by the window watching people pass by, I reflected on everything I'd learned through this painful experience. I'd discovered my own resilience, the value of true friendship, and the importance of trusting my instincts. Most importantly, I'd learned that financial independence wasn't just about having money, it was about having the confidence to protect what was mine and the wisdom to recognize when something was wrong. The betrayal that was meant to break me had instead revealed my strength. And for that unexpected gift, I was strangely grateful. What about you? Have you ever experienced a betrayal that ultimately made you stronger? How did you rebuild trust in yourself and others afterward? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments below. And if you found value in my journey, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share with someone who might need to hear that even the deepest betrayals can lead to new beginnings. Thank you for listening, and remember, your financial security is worth protecting, and so are you.